Hey there, hope you're doing well. This is podcast number 11, I think, in this API Gateway series. In this one, I want to talk about environments, right? As we're working through our API Gateway, the first release of our gateway, we've run into a number of challenges and we've waded through, gone past a good number of them. And we are at the tail end of, what we're looking at is like maybe a couple of weeks away, hopefully 2, 3 weeks from our release date. Fingers crossed again. One of the challenges, I've just documented a ton of what we've run into, and this is one more is the fact that a lot of these API hubs, I say a lot, but probably all of them, I don't believe they support a notion of environments, right? So obviously internally we have dev, test, staging, and prod, and you may have fewer or more environments, but these are standard numbers, right? So uh, currently, right? So we want to be able to, we are on dev, the lowest environment. And then we also have local, which is completely local to our whole, sort of a developer sandbox, which doesn't depend on any other environment pretty much for the most part. So you could say it's five, our machines plus the other four environments, right? So three before we get to prod. But the hubs, doesn't matter what they are, like whether it's Blobber or Rapid or AWS Marketplace, if you consider that sort of a API hub, because it is as well, right? It's a marketplace, slightly different, but it falls in that space. They have nothing but just one environment. So there's no, at least from what I've seen, you can go there and create your API and then say, I want to actually have four different environments and then make requests, have different configuration for each of those environments. It doesn't seem like any of them support that. So it makes it challenging. So one of the workarounds, even if it's not, it's a little bit painful, but it's still a viable workaround is you create four APIs as though they are different APIs, even though they're exactly the same, and then call them differently, right? So you have a production version that'll be called, say, in our case, Snowpal Project Management API. That's our first API that we're going to publish. And then we have the second one, imagine four cards. The second one would say Snowball Project Management Dev, Test, and Staging. The one that's prod doesn't have the suffix prod. The other three do have the environments, their environments as suffixes, right? So now we can configure each of them specifically and have them pointing to the corresponding environment of the API gateway, and then that environment of the API gateway can then point to a more specific microservice that belongs to that same environment essentially, right? So if you were to draw this out, all of them have to be mapped to the exact same environment. Now you might mix and match some of them because you may not have four environments for every single piece in this puzzle. But if you don't, then you better have a more manageable strategy because otherwise you're going to get confused. You're going to make a deployment, break somebody else's dev or test work, or product manager owners cannot be doing what they are supposed to be doing because you broke something inadvertently and you didn't expect for it to be broken. It's bound to happen if you have fewer environments or if you kind of mix and match environments. So it's just left to you and how your DevOps works. But the cleanest way out can think of is having one for each and then all the way straight through, right? So one like dev on the hub, dev on the API gateway, dev on our microservices, dev for the databases, and so on and so forth. It takes a bit of effort and it costs money also, right, to have spawn all of these environments. So we don't have all of them ironed out and laid out that way, but we have a fair bit of what I've just mentioned here. So that's something to keep in mind. I hope the hubs actually do support environments. That way, you don't have to be creative in solving this problem, because to me it's boilerplate stuff, if you will, right? I mean, you are building something, you want to be able to sort of progress through those environments, so you need the hub to actually support it. So just to recap what we have and what we're actually starting out to do is trying to have these variations as APIs themselves. And it's not just for the initial release. I can see that just stay there. So the moment we publish a second API, not the second version of the first API, mind you, the second API, we're going to have four of those cards for that API as well. So it's a little bit painful to manage. If the day we have like 5 APIs, we're going to have like 20 cards sitting there, even though it's only 5 APIs. I mean, 5 is a lot of APIs, but I say even though it's only because, it's 20% of the actual number of cards that show up on these hubs, right? So that is, a sizable challenge, something that's eating up our time actually. So I figured I just want to document that and hope it helps you. And again, watch out for our release. It's coming very, very soon. We couldn't be more stoked about it. It's going to be another feather in our cap. We have the web app and the mobile app. The API gateway is the third in the mix of things. Fourth, actually, but third, depending on how we look at it. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.